Hello everyone, welcome to the pilot episode, the first episode of the Parkscope Unofficial Podcast Hour. After we recorded this podcast, we made some show design changes to the podcast, and as such, parts of the show have been edited and recorded, such as this intro. Also, in recording last Friday night, Mike was traveling, and you can hear that in the background, and I came back from a surprise birthday celebration, so I was a little less loose than normal. Well, more loose than normal. Yeah, you get the idea. Anyway, and with that, let's start the show. My name is Joe. I am a writer on Parkscope, and you can find me at Parkscope Joe on Twitter. Joining me today, first up is Sean. Sean, say hey.
How's it going, guys? It's been a long time coming. We've only been talking about this for 2 years.
Yeah, no, at least 2-3 years? Easy?
Yeah.
Yeah, easily. And next up is Mike.
I'm at CaptMichael87.
Okay.
And we've been talking about this for about 2 years, and Parkscope was the compromise between doing a podcast or a blog. And now we're doing both.
There we go. Anyway, tonight we have a great episode for you guys. We have several topics to be talking about of the past few weeks of theme park discussion. We're going to start off with tonight with Fantastical Beasts announcement. J.K. Rowling recently announced with Warner Brothers that she's going to be writing the movie script for the Fantastical Beasts. We're going to let Sean lead the discussion tonight on the Fantastical Beasts. Yeah, movie guy and the Harry Potter guy. So we're going to let Sean take over the movie and theme park discussions with us, and Michael and I will be joining in. So, Sean, what's going on with this?
Well, I would say Mike's also the Harry Potter guy. He's about equal to me on that one. But
well, let's be honest. We're all the Harry Potter guys, but I'm going to just defer to your guys' opinion on this.
Oh, good. I like when people defer to my opinion.
You're wrong.
Well, yeah, I think... No, you're stupid. Shut up. I think I honestly, it came out of left field for me. I always, you guys know, I always thought she was going to be back in the world, the Wizarding World, sooner rather than later. I always said that it was going to be, by 2020, we were going to know what her next project in the Wizarding World was going to be. And I never guessed it would be 2013, but here we are. And I never would have guessed it's Fantastic Beasts and where to find them. It seems really random when I first heard it, but now it makes perfect sense. I don't know what you guys are thinking,
actually, it's not that random. I think it was mentioned not so long ago that they were in talks. WB was trying to come up with something for this concept. So I guess we kind of wrote it off at the time, but it was mentioned one time, I think, this year.
I don't remember that. I'll take your word for it. I mean, I don't want to get too much into it because the person I talked to
what if it was Jim Hill?
God, I hope not. I hope it wasn't him.
Well,
I love Jim, but I like Jim in an entertainment kind of way, not oh my god, he was actually right kind of way. I was talking to someone and they said this has been in the works for a long time, and she kind of put it away for a little bit before coming back to it. So some people weren't surprised by the announcement. So maybe it was something WB's been looking into for a long time and we're just hearing about it. But I think it's a really good way to expand the world. It could be I see it like a Indiana Jones kind of meets Steve Irwin meets a bumbling kind of wizard movie. I don't know what you guys think it's going to end up being like, but that's the way I foresee it going down.
Well, it's been a long time since I read the little book, but yeah, that's the impression I get, and I think it'll be nice to get away from the Harry Potter narrative. There's a EE buzzword, and get to exploring the world and the rest of it, and actually seeing wizards use magic and see magical creatures, and not just Harry being angsty and whiny.
Yeah.
See people casting spells and stuff, cool stuff.
Yeah, one of the issues I'm sorry, Sean, you want to go?
No, go ahead, Joe. No, go ahead.
Something I'm actually writing about right now, and I'm thinking about is that one of the issues with Harry Potter, the franchise, is that people keep thinking that Harry Potter is popular because of Harry Potter, which is actually, if not just because of not of him. It's actually very popular because of the Lily Potter, Hermione, and Harry himself. It's simply because that it offers an angle for all of us to become part of this Wizarding World franchise ourselves. It's kind of a gateway drug in a way, saying like, yeah, we could become these people because Hermione has and Lily has. So that kind of enters our way into that. But anyway, kind of the idea I had with this is that if it's based in the 1920s, which, from what I'm understanding, it could quite possibly be 1920s, 1930s. Is this right, Sean? Possibly.
Yeah, it's set in the first movie set in the 20s, and they say it starts in New York City. I think a lot of people are reading that as the entire movie is in New York City.
Yeah.
I don't think that's the case at all.
Now tell me this. When is King Kong set?
The 20s.
20s, yeah. So it could be that.
That could be so ridiculously amazing. I don't think that's going to happen, but if they somehow tie the very beginning of the movie into Kong, that'd be amazing.
Well, I think we just completely blow that whole entire Kong attraction to University Studios Florida completely away. But
I was just thinking maybe Newt could be investigating King Kong, or like the big ape in New York.
It could be a tie-in. I don't know.
Because why else would he be in New York?
I agree. It does seem very out there for him to start in New York, unless some magical creature showed up in New York and it starts with him kind of capturing it or getting rid of it or whatever. But I mean,
yeah, no, sorry, Sean, continue.
I was just gonna say if they somehow tied it into King Kong, that would be I would fall in love with that movie. I don't care what came after it. If they tied it into King Kong at the beginning, they win.
Oh yeah, hell yeah. But my question is, what is Newt necessarily British?
Yes.
Yes, he
went to Hogwarts.
He went to
Hogwarts.
Well,
so
but that doesn't necessarily mean British, right?
I don't think anyone from outside of Ireland, Scotland, England, and Wales went to Hogwarts.
Okay, I'm fine with that. I just don't know. I mean, I'll defer my judgment.
I'm like
to you guys.
99% sure that's the case, because then the rest of the European countries kind of were split between Beauxbatons and Durmstrang.
Okay.
And
I know that there's there might be others, but those were the big three. And then I know I think during the Quidditch World Cup, I want to say that there's a mention of something in the United States.
The Salem Witches Academy or something like that?
Yeah.
Okay. Which probably is not in the United States, probably somewhere in like North America, generic, I imagine.
I would assume it'd be in Salem or close to Salem, Massachusetts.
Yeah, well, still, I mean, come on, we're so populated.
I would love, just to throw it into Mike's territory, I would love to see like a Bayou Witches and Wizards Academy, just because I think it fits in so well.
I'm glad you brought that up.
Voodoo and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, it just makes sense. I mean, other than Massachusetts, we're like the other magical place in the United States, as far as the witches' lore and stuff like that. So,
no, I mean, you have the.
In my mind, whenever I read these books, I thought, well, we probably have one in Louisiana.
Yeah, no. I mean, Louisiana has the history. You have the mysticism. You have the kind of culture going on. Even, I mean, it totally makes sense. So. When you're
and it was a big port city back in that time, so
Yeah, totally. So when you think about it, when you really think about the mystical parts of not even North America, just plain old United States, or the United States of America, if you want to be really politically correct right now. You're looking
He's made
at,
Eckhart Explorer's head explode.
yeah, I know, just EDD's just going right
His
now.
radar's going off right now. You just mentioned America.
Yeah. You have Massachusetts and you have Louisiana, and that's a very mystic part because when you look at it history wise, Louisiana has a very deep history with. I mean, even look at the Princess and the Frog for crying out loud. I mean,
Let's not.
I'd rather not.
I mean, I'd rather. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Is that you have the whole entire history? You have the whole entire mysticism. That's built up through culture, and the whole entire French combined with the Caribbean ideals combined together and combines. And then Massachusetts comes directly from the Puritans themselves with
Right.
mysticism and Puritanism and all that stuff. All that fun.
Not to get completely off topic, but
yeah,
we'll move on back to Fantastic Beasts after this. But it would be really cool to see an old-timey Wizarding World movie set during the Salem witch trials. But that's a completely different topic we don't have to talk about
I
now.
don't know how I feel about that. I'm not really a fan of that because it's always going to be somewhat fantastical.
No, I know. But
So
I'm just saying, it'd be interesting.
No, but
what I want is I want this Newt Scamander guy apparating all over the world, blowing stuff up, casting spells, having fun.
And
that's it. I just want to see magic, and I want to see these magical things get used.
Magic,
the more angst.
Yeah, I want to see
like
more.
You set up this wonderful world of cool stuff. Yeah, like kind of like stuff Dumbledore was doing in Book 6. Looking around for Horcruxes, globe trotting.
Purple
doing investigating stuff.
The
fun wizard things.
The interesting thing that I've seen brought up that I'm not worried about because JK's writing it, so I know she's going to come up with something great, is what the actual drama is going to come from. What, if it's just this guy going around and looking at animals, it's not going to be an interesting movie series. And there's got to be a bad guy somewhere, and I think that's going to be the big challenge for the movie. But I'm not too worried about it. She'll do fine. And it could be interesting. The Potter movie, the Potter books are all about kind of getting rid of stereotypes and prejudices and stuff like that. So she's bound to bring at least a little bit of a moral slant to it, maybe conservation or something like that. It's going to be interesting.
Oh, like Avatar.
Oh God.
No. Kind of what I read from that is that it's less of a naturalist kind of perspective, but more of a exploring the world, like the world itself.
Right. Exploring the world, man.
Yeah, man.
Exploring
the world like a true adventurer.
Yes.
And seeing everything. But no, I think the actual putting them into this book, like and not just the book, but everything that revolves around making the book. All that because she's dealt with all that.
What I could probably see, because in this movie he's a young guy.
Yeah.
So he may not even be looking for creatures just yet. He may just happen into this occupation.
He may just fall in.
Right. Well, from the kind of bio she has of him, he was always interested in it. Mm-hmm. So his mother bred hippogriffs, and so he was kind of always interested in it.
So we're not going to get an origin story, Sean?
God, I hope not. I hope it just jumps into him in New York fighting or investigating something. I don't need to know where he came from. God, just as long as I don't have to see his parents get shot outside the movie theater.
His girlfriend
Or
get
Uncle
raped, his grandmother
or
die.
Uncle Ben gets shot. As long as I don't have to see his Uncle Ben
his
get
wife
killed, I
just
don't
be
care.
grasped by the wrist by something, just anything.
But yeah, and like I've said on Twitter, it's kind of a fanboy choice, but I would really like to see Matt Smith as the character. But I think he'd be able to carry a movie like this with the funny and mystical, also with the kind of like wide-eyed enthusiasm that I think the role needs.
Let's go for it. Cool.
Like I said Indiana Jones at the beginning, but Indiana Jones is much more of a cynical non-believer than I think this role needs to be. You know, it needs to be more of a wide-eyed and
Yeah, he is a Hufflepuff, so.
Yeah, there you go.
Hufflepuff.
He's got to be nice
yeah.
and smile and friendly to everybody.
Enslaving house elves.
Ouch, jeez, man. God.
Yeah, I always thought that was a weird disconnect.
It is. Haters gonna hate,
masochist
man.
and just wants to enslave people.
I don't know how I feel about Matt Smith doing that. But I don't know how they feel about Matt Smith doing that. It could be interesting.
Now that you brought up Doctor Who, didn't J.K. Rowling write an episode, or am I making that up?
She was invited to do an episode, but she never did one.
Okay, because I was saying we might have an example of her screenwriting, but I guess not.
Because I know she was invited, and so was Neil Gaiman. And Neil Gaiman did do 2 episodes of Doctor Who. And
fanboy hero Neil Gaiman.
Yeah, no, well, he's a really good writer.
He is a really good writer.
I mean, let's be honest here. I mean, let's give him some credit. I mean, Neil Gaiman's really good. And let's be honest, Neil Gaiman also is that The Doctor's Wife is a much better episode than the Nightmare in Silver.
Yeah, Nightmare in Silver was awful.
Well, it wasn't awful. It just, God.
All right, we're getting off topic.
Yeah,
back to the movie.
Yeah, back to the movie. Anyway.
There's been some criticism that J.K. Rowling's not a screenwriter, but, you know, I'm sure she's been consulting with Clovis, and, you know, they're not going to let her...
One of the points I made up in, I'm writing an article for this remote website called Parkscope.net. Is
that's still going around?
Yeah, God, I know it's still going. Who'd have thought? Man,
good job, City of Orlando. Congratulations.
Yeah. But anyway, it's just one of the things I was writing was, there's a difference between book, television, movie, and video game writing, and there's actual issues that come up between the various tropes and things that come up, but I think she can overcome these. These are minor issues because she can still write very well for characters and story and pace. I mean,
and let's be honest, she's not an idiot. She's not going to say, I'm the only one who can do this, and sit and say, no one else can look at my screenplay. She's gonna go for help. She's not an idiot. She's a smart woman.
And with the original movies, she was very fair to WB. Like, I mean, she, of course, looked over it, but, you know, she let them do their thing because they know what they're doing. And the same thing with Universal. You know,
right.
Universal got to do their thing within reason. You know? So all these people have worked
Universal
together before.
Universal got to do their thing except for keeping all of Lost Continent and throwing up a few signs.
Yeah.
And keeping Forbidden Journey, you know, with all the crazy, wicked stuff they had going for that. But whatever, you know.
Yeah.
Oh, and also the Hands of the Dementors, you know, besides that.
But look, she's been working with WB for, 13 years now? 14 years? And
at least.
So everybody knows what they're doing.
No, totally.
I'm sure they'll get Stuart Craig back. You know, get the whole family back together.
They're gonna get the crew back together for this. It's like, you know, they could write a movie about making this movie. Really, that's what it's about. They're getting the crew back.
Saving Miss Rowling, saving Mr. Potter.
Yes.
And look, it's not like they ever
everything
stopped
has to
working
change
together.
to make it sunshine and rainbows.
Yeah,
the movies ended 3 years ago, but they've still been working on the theme park. So these people have been in contact all this time. There's nothing to worry about.
No, not at
Movie
all.
will be fine. Movie will be great. We'll all be there at midnight,
These people,
just like old times.
these people entered into this almost like a career decision.
Right. They knew what they were getting into.
Like this, like you look at the stuff and go, holy, like this isn't an option anymore. Like, yeah, I may work on, whatever remake of movie XYZ they want, Universal or Warner Brothers, but when you look into it, it's like, this is what I'm going to be doing. Whatever J.K. Rowling does in the future, either, minor or major, I'm going to be aiming towards that. And that's what these people are doing right now. Whether it be all the way from Burke, all the way to the people at Warner Brothers doing, the basic sculpting. That's what these guys are doing right now.
They picked a good horse to attach their cart to. That's all I'm going to say.
Oh, hell yeah. And God, I wish I did that.
Good job, Michael Eisner. Wonderful job. Good job, guy.
Yeah.
No, but all that matters is that the Yeti smells like bananas. The Yeti smells like bananas, and that's all that matters.
I'm going to throw out two names for directors. One's never going to happen. One I pray happens. One is Guillermo del Toro, which is never going to happen because the guy has so much on his plate. But his imagination for monsters mixed with J.K. Rowling's imagination, it would be the greatest, most happiest day of my life to see them working together.
But in a way also that he almost never has any project actually going at once.
Well, that's true.
I mean, let's be honest. Like, how long has that Haunted Mansion project been on the front burner?
Well, he's already said he's not going to direct that. He'll be a producer.
Oh, that's not happening. That's not happening.
Oh, it's not going to happen, but...
God, and you know what? I'll be the first one to say it right now. I hope it doesn't happen. The Haunted Mansion does not...
I would have liked it if he was going to direct it, I would have loved to see it, but if he's not going to direct it, I don't care.
I don't want to see... I mean, the biggest problem with the Haunted Mansion movie is that it doesn't need a backstory. It needs more ambiguity.
Here's the thing. I agree with that in the attraction, but at the same time, I want to see Guillermo del Toro write a story about the Haunted Mansion and film it.
Yeah.
Because I want to see Guillermo del Toro do anything he wants to do. And I feel like he really wanted to do that. And I don't want to say Disney dragged their heels on it, but I feel like something happened there that he got screwed out of it. And he said, screw it, I'm done. I'm out of here. So, and then the
second director?
Edgar Wright. I think Edgar Wright would be amazing. Edgar Wright's doing Ant-Man next. After that, I don't think he has anything lined up. I think he would be able to bring the fun, kind of lighthearted adventure vibe to it. But he can also, as his movies have shown, he can film action with the best of them. And I would really like to see that. He's a British director. So that's my prime choice for who I'd want to see take the movie. I don't want to see anyone come back from the other Potter movies. I want to see at least fresh blood, and hopefully good fresh blood, which Wright would be.
Tim Burton and Christopher Nolan.
Oh, Lord.
Oh, God. I almost thought you were going to throw out two real names, and then I was like, oh, wait, it's Mike. It's going to be two trolling names. Stays away from any movie increases the likeliness of me seeing it.
No, yeah, totally.
At least Chris Nolan has made good movies in the past 10 years. Tim Burton hasn't made a good movie in 20 years.
So I think many of us were probably expecting that if they ever revisited the world, it would be either after Harry or it would have been way back in the past when they founded Hogwarts or something like that.
Yes.
But I guess maybe they wanted to shift it tonally and get away from the school for a while, probably.
I think that's probably a good guess.
Yeah, because if you would have did the founder story, it would have been Hogwarts again. I mean, it'd have been different, but, same. This gets them out around the world and seeing different sights and
it wouldn't
different terrain and
it wouldn't be the Hogwarts story. It would have been the Wizarding World story, which is kind of what they were going for. Which is I think is great.
I think it's amazing. Like you said, you could theoretically, they could go everywhere in the world with this story and show us what the Wizarding World is like in Africa, in Asia, in, Antarctica if they wanted to. There's nothing off limits with this story, and I think that's awesome.
Yeah. All right, so theme park.
Sean.
Yeah. That's if you guys want, I can run through what I would do and what I think is at least part of what I think is actually possible with what they're thinking.
Well, I guess let's start with the fact that recently, yet again, Potter Phase 3 rumors started sprouting up again.
Right.
And
it's always been a talk, and everyone's always thought, well, it's just going to be some small things to kind of push Phase 1 up to the level of Phase 2, because Phase 2 is, for all info that we know, going to be head and shoulders above what we saw in Phase 1, which is insane to think about, but pretty true from everything we know.
Mm-hmm.
And now this comes out, and it kind of throws a monkey wrench in everything we thought we knew. It opens up a lot of possibilities, a lot of awesome possibilities, in my opinion. And I don't know.
Well, maybe we're still getting Phase 3, but now we're getting Phase 4 also.
That's
because
also a possibility.
This might be a ways down the road.
Right.
Whereas the additions to Hogsmeade can just happen over the next couple of years.
True, but this is what I think. And I'm going to go off, and you guys can comment on my craziness after I'm done. I think we get an attraction right to open with the movie. I think we get Sinbad. This is one thing I've noticed. The Hogsmeade Station is right in front of Sinbad. Like, there's no getting around that it is right next to Sinbad, and there's no hiding.
It's such an awkward transition. Yeah, I don't know what they're going to do.
I have no clue how they're going to do that. If they pull it off, my whole line of thinking here could be wrong, but it is right there. They're right next to each other, and if anything, the Hogsmeade Station enters and exits almost perpendicular to Sinbad. Am I wrong in thinking that?
No, when you're in Sinbad, you see it when you look to your left, like it's there.
Right.
It's
it's
guys,
right there. There's no getting around that, and as far as I know, listen. I'm not saying I'm an insider or anything like that, but information I got this week leads me to believe that Universal knew that this was coming a long time ago, as in years ago when they were first planning this entire thing. I think before this, and we know that the games in Lost Continent are going away. We know the games are becoming a new entrance to Wizarding World Hogsmeade. We know that. The games are moving to Jurassic Park. All that's going to be done soon. So I think when this movie opens, the Sinbad Theater becomes a Fantastic Beasts Theater. And we get a Walking with Dinosaurs, How to Train Your Dragon arena show type show in the Sinbad Theater when this movie opens. Again, this is just me throwing spitballs out there. I don't know if any of it's true, but I think that's the best use of the space. Sinbad, people go into it, but no one wants to go to that park to see Sinbad, and I don't think they're going to get rid of the one live show they have in the park. So I think that's the most likely date for that arena. What do you guys think?
I agree. It makes sense. It's right there. It doesn't require more additional investment.
Right. All it involves is some retheming of the inside and the outside of the theater.
And you can develop that show right while Sinbad's still running. So it takes 8 months at max to close the show, redevelop it, deploy it as the Fantastical Beasts show. It makes sense. And it could be right there too. There's some small thematic issues, how are they going to approach there? Is it going to be with the fountain in front? But that stuff.
I actually had an idea for the fountain too.
Okay, cool. Here, I want to hear this.
God, this is just I apologize to the viewer or the listeners. I don't mean to to come off as Sean Huckle's Blue Sky Universal Creative Hour, but I could
No,
see
I like to hear this right now.
the fountain staying.
Yes.
Maybe like a little bit of a cosmetic change, but we haven't seen Peeves at all in the entire Harry Potter movie series. I know, and it stinks. I think that would be the perfect opportunity to see our first shot at Peeves in the Harry Potter movie universe. Have him possessing the fountain. You can still have it squirting people all you want and all that kind of stuff, but I think that would be the perfect opportunity to get him into the universe.
In fact, they actually had him casted, and they did some costume tests for Philosopher's Stone.
Yep,
I can't
and then he never showed up.
But yeah,
I mean, they have a slight voice changer for the various Disney attractions that are live action.
I think the fountain always has the fountain always has like a high pitched kind of voice changer. Like it's a simple voice changer. It's not anything special, but
yeah,
it's always very high pitched thing.
I mean, when it comes down to is whatever J.K. approves.
Right. Obviously, this is what I think should happen, not what I think will or what I expect to happen. But I think that would be a good way and a nice little nod to fans. Say, yeah, we didn't completely forget about him in this universe. Here you go. Here's Peeves, kind of thing. I think he's only supposed to haunt. Well, excuse me. He's only supposed to haunt Hogwarts. But I think Moaning Myrtle's only supposed to haunt Hogwarts too, and she's in Hogsmeade, so it's not a big deal. And Ollivanders is in Hogsmeade. There's been plenty of canon-breaking moments.
I think Moaning Myrtle was able to travel to Hogsmeade. I may be wrong. I know she went to the lake to see the mermaids.
That's right.
I think.
Yeah.
I think wherever the water was. Who knows?
Yeah. It's not important.
I haven't read the books in a while, unfortunately.
Point is that it can happen. It can happen.
Right.
Yeah.
So then moving further into Lost Continent, because the way I see it is, I know a lot of people are freaking out, saying if it takes over the entire Lost Continent, it's too much Potter, it's in the other park and stuff like this. First of all, anything else they're going to put in Lost Continent isn't going to be as profitable as Harry Potter. Even if Fantastic Beasts only makes $500 million in the box office, it's still going to sell more merchandise than anything else they can think of in Lost Continent, whether it be Willy Wonka like we've heard, or more Seuss like we've heard, and all this kind of stuff.
If only Potter, 500 million, because like reportedly Planes has earned like 120 million worldwide.
Right. Planes. I'm just saying. I'm just throwing out a lowball number.
Yeah. No. I know.
It's still going to sell more merch and move more product than anything else that they're going to put in that land.
Yes.
On top of that, the Wizarding World of Harry Potter Hogsmeade only took up half of Lost Continent as is. So even if it took up the rest of Lost Continent, right? It might technically it's probably less than half.
It took up a third, really. It took up Merlin Woods. That was it.
Right. Even if it takes up the rest of it, it's still just the same size land as Lost Continent originally was. So it's not like it's taken over half of Jurassic Park, all of Lost Continent, and half of Seuss, and expanding its boundaries. It just makes it an actual island again, instead of being a random half island in the middle of Lost Continent.
Yes.
So it brings back the Islands of Adventure name in reality instead of just name.
Yeah.
Moving from there. Go ahead. You want to say something?
No, you go with that.
Okay. Moving on from there, I see, since Sinbad's an easy retheme, and I think if they're doing this smart, which I don't have any doubt that WB and Universal is doing it smart, you open that attraction right away, you get the people in there, you have a new draw that's going to take people, and you don't have to mind closing the other part, the Poseidon part of Lost Continent down almost completely. You like what they did originally. You have a path that goes through to the rest. The right part where Poseidon's temple is and everything is leveled and Mythos. I'm saying you keep Mythos, but you retheme a little bit of it. Maybe change like the Zeus or Poseidon head that's throwing up all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe change it to maybe a dragon, so it still makes sense with the water coming out and looks cool, and maybe change Atlas behind it to a werewolf or something, and change it to it.
You don't even have to change it because it's still mythological, so it all works in the end, though.
It works, but I think if you keep it with the Greek god motif that it has, it's going to feel a little bit awkward.
Yeah, but...
Guys. Y'all think it's too small.
Yeah, no, I agree.
I mean, this isn't 2007 anymore. This is 2013. They just demolished Jaws completely. I don't know.
While I don't disagree, I don't think they want to get rid of Mythos. I don't think they would feel comfortable getting rid of that restaurant that, even though
it just kind of sits there in just purgatory, just there, you know? I don't know.
I think it's good, but I think they'd rather work on the facade and keep it open than level it and only have one sit-down restaurant in the park, which is Confiscos and is the definition of mediocre. Whereas Mythos, I know it has the best restaurant or whatever, and the food is really good. I don't have any issues with the food.
I think Mythos could be like the big in Harry Potter, the big like lunchtime meal. I mean, maybe I'm crazy here, but I mean, it could really define everything. Sorry, continue.
I think Mythos is really good. I think it's a very, very good meal. I don't think it's the best food I've ever had in a theme park setting or a theme park resort setting. I think I've had better meals at Disney, but at the same time,
Jico.
Well, if I ever get to Jico,
I'll
let you know.
Price point, though.
We're dragging your ass to Jico.
That's the thing. The price point at Mythos, I paid $18 to get a fillet at Mythos. A very good fillet.
Broomsticks.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. Which gets you fish and chips and a butterbeer at 3 Broomsticks.
Yes.
And it gets you an appetizer at the California Grill. Not even a sushi appetizer, just an appetizer. The duck in all its glory is $17, and I got a fillet at Mythos for that.
Yeah,
a very good fillet.
And we all know how California Grill is now. We all know.
No, I know. I'm just saying, comparing it to a signature price point at Disney,
it's not fair.
It may not. Right. It's so much cheaper, and it's very good. It's not. It's not the best meal I've ever had, but it's very good.
The biggest regret of mine is
one thing that really throws a wrench into the whole thing. But I mean, I guess eventually something's got to happen with it. I don't know.
I think it's an easy outside retheme. You don't have to mess too much with it. I think if you kind of just make it look like it fits, it's fine. Yeah. You would have to theme a little bit of the inside too, but I don't think it'd be anything out of the question to do. The way I'm looking at it,
how surprised are you that Sinbad survived the train expansion? I think early on we all thought it would go.
Yeah, we all did.
No, I think Sinbad survives. I don't think they're going to get rid of it.
I'm actually.
It's the one live show in the park. I just don't see them getting rid of it right now.
I really thought that,
especially in a park that needs everything that it can when it rains or lightning storms or when it's cold. They need to have things that, right. For me, I don't think they can get rid of it and have the park be okay.
But what if they add a show to Seuss and then kill Sinbad?
I mean, that's a big if. Or you mean Seuss or Toon Lagoon?
Seuss, because I don't think the Toon Lagoon Theater is going to survive.
Mike, where do you think they put a show in Seuss?
Well, I guess we have to get to that conversation, I guess we have to kind of talk about where I think it's going to happen with Lost Continent, or what we were kind of thinking before all this news broke.
Right. Can I finish? Can I finish mine?
Yeah.
Just so I don't want to go back after you do what you think's going to happen, and then me do what I think's going to happen. Part 2. Like I said, the left side of the Greek part of Lost Continent would be a retheme to Mythos, a pretty easy retheme in my opinion. Now I just thought of something I want to talk about the movie. All right, we can do that later. And then the right side where Poseidon is, I have a couple different ideas of what could go down here. First of all, I think the entire Sinbad to Poseidon, or Sinbad to the bridge to Suit's Landing, would become more of a wooded area, kind of more trees, kind of what I think would be the Forbidden Forest, and kind of the conceit of the entire area would be a traveling not mythical, but Wizarding World zoo almost has come to Hogsmeade to celebrate the Muggles coming into town, which is the story of Wizarding World Phase 1. So a lot more trees, a lot more water features, kind of rivers going or streams going down around us. Basically make the IOA is such a hot park. There's so much concrete, and outside of Jurassic Park, there's so little wooded areas. Yeah. And I think they really need to get some more trees in that park. So that's the overall look that I would go for. And then the right side of the Greek area where Poseidon is, I would think that they would knock Poseidon down. On Orlando United, Maxar Mike, I think his username has said that when they went in to do some corrosion mitigation a couple months ago, they looked and saw that apparently Poseidon's building is not holding up too well to all the water effects and fire effects inside of it. I don't know. I mean, I like Mike. I think he's a good person to discuss the theme parks with, but I don't know how good his sources are. But let's just say that's true. Yeah, I think he does. So let's just say that's true. I see Poseidon's building going away. What goes there? I have two ideas. One idea I think is more realistic than the other. One idea I would say is because from what Martin Smith, the legendary Disney photographer or videographer, videographer has said is, and Hate to Fly has also said that they're looking to do more dark rides with animatronics and everybody can ride them. At least that's what the story that's being tossed around is. I could see a kind of, I don't want to say Kilimanjaro safaris, but something similar as a short, or not short, but a mid-range dark ride through some animal or mystical animal habitats. That's the thing I could see more likely. Less likely is the old fabled Jurassic Park Jeep ride reskinned to Fantastic Beasts. And us going through a zoo, and in the old theme park conceit, something horrible happens and a big old beastie gets loose and starts chasing us.
Another dragon.
Those are the God, I hope not. That's one reason I love that they're doing this, is it gives Universal something to use other than a dragon. And then there's also maybe none of this happens and they just knock Dragon Challenge down and put something there. But we won't get into that.
Yes. And then Sean and I dance in the streets of Hogsmeade.
Oh, I would be so happy. I would take a victory sip. Anyway, Mike, go ahead.
I really don't have that many ideas, but earlier in the week we had talked about, and it was shot down by Hate to Fly, and we were just kind of reading the wrong things, I guess. But Sean and I were thinking that with the rumors coming up about Lorax, and then in the future a Mount Crumpet coaster, we were thinking that maybe that and Phase 3 would kind of like come together and both just take over Lost Continent and kind of meet halfway. Have Whoville towards Seuss Landing, and then have who knows what closer to Potter. And I guess that was we were kind of just hitting a dead end because there was nothing we could think of to fill that space except for trees. So this news comes out and it kind of gives you something to stick there in a forest type setting. And then you also need land for more Seuss attractions. They're putting Lorax in the expansion pad they already have, but Illumination, which is Universal's Pixar basically, is they're making more Seuss films, and they're making Cat in the Hat, and they're making The Grinch again.
Yeah.
So,
what's just to explain to everyone, where is the expansion pad for Islands of Adventure?
It's between Cat in the Hat and I guess like one of those restaurants. Yeah, all that stuff. And then behind One Fish, Two Fish. And if you ever go to Halloween Horror Nights, it's where they have the walkway between the parks.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I guess we could really segue this into the whole Universal decade. Do you want to do that?
Yeah, sure. Why not?
But another point about Phase 3 real quick.
I feel like we're there. We might as well say that. Talk about that. And go ahead, Mike. Sorry.
But like the one last thing about Phase 3, we always kind of thought it's one of those Jim Hill rumors, but it also makes a lot of sense, is the Great Hall. And it's kind of like, where do you put that? And it kind of would solve two problems if you stuck it in Jurassic Park, where you can see Forbidden Journey, you can see Hogwarts, and it's kind of where Pizza Predatoria is sitting. If you just built a giant Jurassic Park building right there and put the Great Hall inside, it would solve two problems. Because if you walk through Jurassic Park now, it's very jarring to see the castle. I mean, you can't miss it. The way they have the walkway set up, you look straight at it.
Right. You put a Jurassic Park themed building there, but you don't enter through the Jurassic Park themed building. You enter through somewhere around Hogwarts.
Yep. Build a tunnel.
Right.
A hallway. Basically, that's where we can leave that. It's just, that's where that would solve two problems, really. And they would make a ton of money, and everybody's happy. And Steve Burke's
and then that also
swimming pool full of gold coins.
And that also leads to an interesting thing. The two sit down rule in Universal Parks. Mythos would then be expendable, and then another option for a ride possibly. But I guess
I don't see the Great Hall as a sit down. I see it more as like a hoop-de-doo type thing where everybody goes and sits at one time.
That's a good point.
Food.
Yeah, that would.
Maybe there's like the Frog Choir goofiness. And then they ship you out. They do about 2 dinners a night, maybe 2 or 3.
Maybe film some Musion stuff for the front. Have Dumbledore talk to everybody, and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, but I think that needs to happen. Probably never will, but I think it needs to happen.
It should happen, but I don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah.
It's again, I like Jim Hill, but it's a Jim Hill rumor. I don't put too much stock into it.
Okay, cool. Well, I guess we have to transition to the Universal decade now.
We have to talk about all these great attractions and things coming.
Yeah.
It's such a burden to talk about this. It's horrible.
I mean, if we were just so.
I mean, would you just rather talk about a meet and greet and Starbucks and plastic wristbands? I mean,
it's glow with the show ears, man. It's awesome.
It's the future.
Well.
It's the future.
There were all of 12 people using the glow with the show ears the 2 times I saw World of Color in California.
Well, more to the point, that was $200 worth of glow with the show ears you saw being used at World of Color.
Well, yeah, that's a good point. But just back to your Seuss point, and I usually don't say that there are good points brought up on a forum. But there was a good point brought up. I don't know who it was, but they said when Lorax goes back into that plot in the back right corner of, or I guess I shouldn't say right, the back west corner of Seuss Landing, One Fish, Two Fish is in a really awkward position. It's basically will be blocking the assumed entrance of Lorax. And someone brought up the point that they should. This is kind of roller coaster tycoon thinking, but it makes sense Green Eggs and Ham is never open. It's open, 2 months out of the year? It's open maybe July during the busy points and December during Christmas. Knock down Green Eggs and Ham and shift One Fish, Two Fish over that way to kind of clear up the entrance point to Lorax. I don't think it would happen, but it would make sense. I don't know what you guys think about that.
It's possible. I mean, they moved Dumbo.
Yeah,
because it
kind of sucks now, though.
There is precedent for that. Well, it wouldn't change One Fish, Two Fish, though, really.
Yeah,
I mean,
One Fish, Two Fish.
There's no view there.
No one's riding that for the view.
Yeah, no one's riding it for the nostalgia and the views, so yeah, good point.
It's but it is interesting to see if when they build Lorax, how it's going to be set up, because it is a very awkward setup back there. And even they have this Seuss, like all the places you'll go or something like that, show behind One Fish, Two Fish, and Cat in the Hat that nobody knows is there because it's hidden in the back corner.
Yeah. It's a very awkward land.
It is. I love it. I think it's
much like Toon Lagoon. Land. It's very confusing.
Yeah, right. I think it's a very beautiful land, but it's very awfully laid out, terribly laid out.
Yeah. Every time I go to Toon Lagoon, I get lost.
Yeah, well,
it's because
it's an awkward layout.
You had inwards, and then you had outwards, and you had inwards again, and you had outwards. I mean, it's completely oblivious to where you're actually going. Which is
Toon Lagoon has random walls at places, so you don't randomly walk into the Dudley queue and stuff like that. Toon Lagoon was just such a mistake, but I don't want to get into that.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess we have to get into that because
that's a different show.
That's purportedly part of the rumored Universal deck.
Yeah.
I guess it's not rumored at this point because Steve Burke said we're going to get at least an attraction a year, and in Hollywood and Orlando, as well as at least $500 million pumped into the parks every year, which is insane to me as someone who has been a Disney fan only until I always rooted for Universal. I always wanted them to do good, but I was never the Universal super fan I am until I got my first annual pass in 2008.
I mean, I think that's an interesting discussion we have to have because we've never really moved into the Universal decade now. We should really discuss the rumors and propositions brought up within the first few recent months coming into the Universal decade. Mike, Sean, do you want to start with kind of what's going on right now, perhaps?
Right now, or what we're thinking in the future?
What we're hearing and what's going on right now on September.
I guess we should start with Steve Burke's comments at I don't know what the conference was, but it was some big investor conference over this past week.
Yeah.
And he said that they've done internal studies and that Universal Orlando can carry up to and between 10,000 and 15,000 rooms and still hit profitability and capacitance goals. Which right now, as it stands, without Cabana Bay Beach Resort opening, we have 2,400 rooms. With Cabana Bay, they'll have 4,200 rooms. Yeah, it's 1,800 rooms added. So that means at least 50% more, or no, not 50%, 100% more rooms added to the resort. And then he also said that they want to keep the cadence at least of adding one attraction to every resort, or I should say every U.S. resort, meaning Universal Studios Hollywood and Universal Orlando Resort, which is Universal Studios Florida and Islands of Adventure. At least one attraction of both of them every year. At least. And then he also, he didn't say this, but analysts have said that they brought the baseline spending in parks and resorts up to $500 million this year, and they or analysts have deduced that that's what they want at least every year spent on parks and resorts. Which, in Universal creative dollars, that's a lot, considering Wizarding World Phase 1 was only about $250 million. So that's two Wizarding World Phase 1s every year for Universal Parks and Resorts. I don't know if you guys have heard, but kind of a big deal.
Yeah, no big deal.
Yeah. I mean, we weren't old enough at the time to be aware of the Disney decade. I don't know quite how that went down or what Eisner came out and said back then. But in this day and age, it's pretty unprecedented for an exec of any company to come out and say, hey, we're fixing to just make it rain, deal with it, you know?
Right. Especially Universal, when they won't even let us take pictures of things being constructed.
Yeah. So that was, it just came, I mean, we knew these things were coming, but for him to just come out and just say it. You know, Universal does that sometimes. They do these things at the most random times.
Right.
The Phase 2
announcement was so random.
They put it on Facebook one morning, you know. So I guess it's kind of their MO to just kind of throw it on you. But
from what I understand, that. Sorry, go ahead.
No.
I was going to say, from what I understand, Disney Decade was they announced stuff. It wasn't that they said we're going to get, you know, they announced all these Epcot or World Showcase editions. They announced David Copperfield's Magic Underground.
Oh, that was beyond that. David Copperfield Magic Underground was beyond Disney Decade. They announced
I thought that was part
Dick
of Disney
Tracy.
Decade.
They announced
Crime Stoppers.
They announced a bunch of
stuff. The Roger Rabbit part, right?
Yes, they announced Roger Rabbit's Maroon Studios. I mean, there was a bunch of stuff they announced beyond David Copperfield Magic
Studios.
Underground. Yeah. I don't know if Muppet Studios was part of it.
I thought it was.
I think it was after
I don't know
that.
Now let's move on from stuff that's never going to happen in Disney, and move on to stuff that might actually happen in Universal. Or I shouldn't say might actually happen, will happen.
It is happening right now. I mean, it's already happening. So
yeah. So yeah, I can't compare the apparent Universal decade to Disney decade, because it's not like Steve Burke came out and said we're building this, and this. He said, this is our business strategy. We want to build it's more vague than what the Disney decade seemed to be.
Very.
But at the same time, it seems more real because he didn't come out and make promises. He came out and said, this is the business strategy, not we're building this project, and this project.
And it's a strategy that's diametrically opposed. It's the exact opposite of what Disney is doing. It's the exact opposite strategy.
Right. I don't want to get into that because it's just going to it's just going to snowball, and then we're going to I don't want to deal with that in Twitter. But, yeah, he said one attraction every year. So that backdoor, like I said on Twitter, that kind of backdoor, confirmed we're getting we're getting Lorax and or Jurassic Park in 2015. I mean
we're getting Jurassic Park, so.
And King Kong, right?
I don't think that's gonna happen. I love Hate to Fly. I think he's a very solid source. I don't see it happening. At least not for 2015. I don't think we get Lorax, Jurassic Park, and King Kong in 2015. And something just died in Mike's area of the world. But I just, again, I think Hate to Fly is a very solid source, and I trust him on most stuff. But just the way I see these things going, I don't see Kong happening in 2015. I could be completely wrong, but that's the way I see it.
No, I can understand that totally.
Because if Lorax has the aggressive expansion or aggressive timeline that they're saying, and Jurassic Park's opening in 2015, Kong should be a big project, and I don't see them having the manpower to do it all in 1 year. But I mean, it is Universal, and I didn't think, as much as I thought they were going to build Transformers fast, I didn't think they were going to build it 8 months or 9 months fast, or whatever it was.
Yeah, I mean, I could see Kong happening. I see that happening as a addition afterwards. That, like, after that first summer of Diagon Alley happens, I can see them closing it down and then building an additional attraction. But I just see them like it being a sponge, just soaking up people from going there.
I don't see a big change from Disaster to Kong. I mean people wise, I think Kong will be a better attraction. Not that I think Disaster's bad. I'm one of the big fans of Disaster.
As am I.
I really like it. I know there aren't a ton of big fans of Disaster out there, but I really like it. But I think it would attract more people as Kong, but I don't think a significantly amount of more people. I don't think it would be a huge uptick in hourly people going through it. It's Kong's a classic IP, but I don't think it holds the same weight in Orlando as it did in Hollywood when they brought it back.
I totally agree with that. I mean,
because here's the thing about Disaster, though. I mean, the rumored reason for all of this is that the track needs to be redone, and so I mean, if that's the case, then they really are kind of on a strict timeline where they can't delay it too much. You know, if these things need to be replaced, it needs to be done. You know, you can't just keep putting it off. So if that's true, I mean, it's a lot of ifs, if, but you know that if that's the real reason, then they really kind of have to do it by then. You know.
Right. Yeah. No, I don't disagree with that.
But I also agree that's a lot of stuff happening. But then again, that's kind of like just like I mean, it is sort of a new attraction, but it's kind of more like a Star Tours 2 kind of thing, you know?
Right. Right.
But in a way, I mean, Disaster's always been a kind of a Star Tours 2 kind of thing, anyways. So.
Yeah. Right. So this is like a Star Tours 3.
Yeah.
The adventures continue. Okay, so Universal Decade.
Here's an interesting thing to talk about. You know, they say they want to add, after Cabana Bay, they're going to add at least, we can assume, as long as Cabana Bay doesn't come out and fall on its face, which at the price point it has, I don't think it will. They're going to add at least 5,800 more rooms.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have the room on existing land to do that. We all know that. They have the one plot left. There's a small plot at the south end of the Cabana Bay plot to add apparently more rooms, which is...
Yeah, allegedly there's a contract saying they have that's for Lowe's and Lowe's only. So
Right. So maybe they'll add 800, I mean, and this is a big number, 800 more rooms on that plot. Maybe in a tower or something like that. But then that still only brings you to 5,000 rooms. They still have to add 5,000 more to get to the minimum number that they want to have at the resort. Mm-hmm. I don't think, even with 2 big towers, they're going to be able to do that in the plot between Cabana Bay and Royal Pacific, which is the only remaining plot that they have.
Could they buy any other resorts in the area?
That's what I think's gonna happen. I think if they're gonna get to this room count that they want, they have to buy the hotels that aren't going to be affected by the I-4 expansion / redo exit over by Major Boulevard.
Mm-hmm.
And they're gonna have to buy more land on on I-Drive, International Drive, around Wet n Wild, the Wet n Wild land they just bought. That's the only way they're going to get to this room count that they want. I think the main thing that they should be shooting for is the Major Boulevard area, just because the Major Boulevard area is much more insulated from the outside than everywhere else.
Yep.
So they can actually kind of theme that area completely rather than having iDrive ugliness right outside a lot of rooms. I I think if they're still going to probably need to buy stuff on iDrive as well. But if they do that, I'd like to see them buy around the Wet and Wild plot to the east. I'm sorry, to the east. There's a lot of just empty ground and grossness around there. Whereas to the west, it's a lot tighter, and they probably won't be able to buy everything there. So to the east, they could get a more themed area that could insulate itself from the outside, and hopefully build a real water park rather than the ghetto Wet and Wild.
Which adds to another whole part of the Universal decade.
Yeah.
We should probably keep it to a minimum this show.
Yeah.
We're already about
We're already
at about an hour right now. So
we can go. So. We can go into more what we think we can do with what they can do with hotels, themes, and stuff like that, and water park themes and stuff in another show, because we're gonna have plenty to talk about with Universal. We might as well get the rest of the Disney stuff that we want to talk about out of the way.
Yeah, so let's talk about some recent Disney stuff then. Tonight.
Yes, I do love Starbucks.
Yes, I mean.
I had an iced pumpkin spice latte today.
Oh, shout out to Yo Pauly.
I can't.
I'm not ashamed to admit that I got an iced pumpkin spice today.
Yeah, no, I would have gotten one, except it's like 500 calories. So I got.
It's my cheat day. It's my cheat day. I'm okay with it.
It's your cheat day. So it's all fine, bro. It's all fine, bro. It's all good.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. I mean, I'll forgive you for that, but
I'm training for a half marathon. I'm good.
No, I understand. You're training for a half marathon, but
run Disney, everybody. See, I'm not a hater. Run Disney.
No, you totally are a hater because you don't support Disney completely, 100%.
I know. I don't pray to the altar of Walt and Mickey.
Now, if you prayed for the altar and Walt and Mickey, you definitely would support the Club 33 expansion, shouldn't you?
Oh God.
Nice segue, Joe.
Yeah, nice.
Oh God, I'm only the best at them.
I'll say my piece. I've been to the Court of Angels, and I really think it's a special little area. There are people out there. First of all, I don't want to ruffle too many feathers. Who am I kidding? Yes, I do. I hate when people say to other people that your stuff doesn't matter. I'll say that I hate Captain EO with a passion, and I think it's the dumbest, most embarrassing attraction that Disney has running right now.
It's an amazing ride. I mean, you're right.
But I will not judge the Epcot fanboys out there that love it. You know, I understand it, guys. I get it. I hate it with every fiber of my being. But I accept your right to love it.
I think the best part of Captain EO is simply when that one
exiting.
Well, besides exiting, is the one dude who pops out of the tree trunk and just has the
mullet.
The mullet. And he's like, "What is going on?"
Yes.
He just starts dancing.
The flowing locks.
It's the best thing.
He's got Farrah Fawcett hair from Charlie's Angels.
And then just Michael Jackson zaps him, and he's like, "What?" And he's just like, it's him. He just starts dancing. It's like, boom, boom, ow! It's so good. It's so amazing. It's the only Disney attraction I actually saw that and laughed out loud. And when I was like,
for all the wrong reasons.
I mean, it was.
I want Rift Tracks to do a special on Captain EO.
Or we could do one.
We could. Maybe that'll be for a future thing. But back to my point. I hate it. I hate that attraction. But I'm not gonna say you can't love that attraction, and when it leaves, you can't be sad when it leaves. Because that's ridiculous.
No, I mean, understandable.
The Court of Angels, I don't think it's the greatest thing in the world. I think some of the protest is a little tiny bit overblown, but I'm not saying you can't. I think it is something that shouldn't be lost. And I think, and as a little bit of a selfish thing, I'm mad that I didn't have a lens the one time I was at Disney World to be able to photograph it properly.
Disneyland?
Huh?
Disneyland?
Shut up.
Land.
Shut up.
No, I'll rub your face in that.
Universal Studios Orlando.
Yeah. Yeah, the one time I was at Disneyland, I didn't have a lens to photograph the court properly. So selfishly, I wish I could get back to it and now that I have a lens like that, be able to photograph it. And I'm never going to get that opportunity, and that stinks. And like the three of us have discussed before, this is not something that gains for the Disneyland populace.
Yes.
People say the parks aren't a museum and all this kind of stuff and progress, but this isn't progress for 99.99999% of the Disneyland populace. This is hurting everyone who isn't super rich and has a
trust fund.
Yeah, who doesn't have a trust fund and membership to Club 33.
I just say it doesn't help anyone. Because it's not even expanding what they have already. It's
changing.
Just changing things.
Yeah, it's changing it, and it's taking away the charm, really.
And charm. I mean, but still, what it comes down to is that they are putting a wall between people who have spent years taking Christmas photos and wedding proposals and all that stuff, a glass wall between them and people who are going to spend $7,000 a year tuition, basically, to eat at this really expensive restaurant. That's what it is.
It's literally paving paradise and putting up a parking lot.
Literally. It literally is putting up a parking lot. Literally. Quite. Yeah. It is literally putting up a parking lot. I'm giving that, but I mean, but it is that Disney. I mean, as Foxy put it so perfectly well, it is the perfect representation of a thematic area in the perfect area in the perfect theme park, and they are putting a wall right between the majority of guests and the people who can afford it, and saying, guess what? You're going to see all these people walk up the ladder and walk up the staircase and right up in a elevator and go enjoy their $100 dinner because they can afford it.
$80 minimum.
$80 minimum. Well, that's if they don't. That's if they don't get.
No,
I know. If they don't get into the park, but still, it's just a ridiculous.
Let them eat cake.
Yes, exactly.
I threw that in for Epcot Explorer right there. That let them eat cake.
Yes.
Little history for the EE.
Very good, very good.
But no, it's ridiculous. It's not going to end my world. I'm not going to not go back to Disneyland for it. I'm not going to cry when it closes. But when I do go back to Disneyland, it's going to be like, oh, hey, remember that little cool area that I could go in and take pictures and enjoy a quiet moment in? It's gone. Like the one side, and it's gone.
I mean, it's like the additional fountain areas in Communicore Courtyard. It's like the additional waterfalls in Adventureland that got removed because of
it's the water features in Caribbean Plaza that were taken out.
And not even that, the waterfalls that were in the middle of Adventureland when they replaced it with Aladdin's magic carpets.
Oh God.
I mean,
don't get me started on the carpets.
I mean, I'm not even talking about the attraction. It's just like you have these small areas that matter to people, and it doesn't even matter like in a I propose there or whatever. It's just like you can sit down there and see it, and it means something to you, and it kind of represents something, and you can sit down there and go, "Wow, this is a place that I understand." And then you remove it, and you say, guess what? This is for $7,000 people who can pay that per year and then spend money. And guess what? It's okay. You can see it through glass now. You can see it through glass. You can see it through glass now. What are you complaining about? You can see it through glass now. This is progress. That's the issue I have. And it's just like, it's disrespectful It really is.
It's almost like the opposite of John Hammond. This park was not built for the super rich. Except the opposite. This part was built for the super rich. At least we're gonna take it for the super rich.
Yeah, I mean, but let's be honest.
And I don't
I mean, Walt did build specific parts for the super rich. That's Club 33.
I agree.
I will not make this.
And I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah, I have no problem with Club 33. I have no problem with Club 33 being expensive.
I don't have a problem with the super rich.
No, I mean,
Sean is a 1%er, by the way.
No,
yeah. I'm a
Sean's
faux
a 1%er. He is the elitist of elite of the Philadelphia. If you go there and just drop his name, you will be surprised at the places you get. But
you get arrested.
Arrested.
Oh, you know that guy.
There's so many places you could see because dropping his name, it's just not respectful. Period. That's how I see this.
But I think there's nothing more we can add to that. So we should.
All I can say is I haven't been to Disneyland, but you don't mess with New Orleans Square.
Well, then what the hell are we talking to you about here for? Come on, man. God. You know what?
You don't mess with New Orleans.
Yeah,
yes,
New Orleans. Right. So the only thing we can go to next, I guess, is food trucks.
Food trucks.
Food trucks.
Yeah.
Food trucks.
So they found a way to make downtown Disney not suck as much. End of story.
Without removing
pretty much.
Without.
I liked it better when it was a T-shirt truck selling a shirt with the shirt truck on it.
You mean without removing the dinosaur or the Rainforest Cafe?
Ugh.
Listen, downtown Disney. I haven't been there in 5 years. I'm not going back ever. So, what can you say? What can you say about downtown Disney? You can't say anything.
It has a good Lego store.
Be such a mess.
I'm sure it'll be nice, but I'll never go.
I think they can add nice things to the center point. Marketplace, no matter what they do, it's still gonna have a giant freaking volcano that spurts fire up now, and T-Rex, which neither of which come close to fitting in to the old Floridian theme that they're going for.
Hey man,
story, everybody. It's all about story.
Hashtag story.
Anyway, there's food trucks, Disneyland corn dogs, which is cool because they're really good. But other than that, whatever. It's not gonna, food trucks like Joe was saying earlier in the week. Food trucks is all about fresh daily ingredients from local places, and that's totally not what these are going to be. I don't have a problem with the concept. I think it's a good concept. I think it'd be a better concept for Streets of America in Hollywood Studios.
But nobody goes back there.
Exactly. No one goes back there, so put them back
there.
Give
them a reason to go back there. Come on.
Yeah.
Nah.
Nah.
You see, it's... All right, well...
It's something to do between your Midway Mania and your Tower of Terror Fast Passes, right?
Fast Passes Tower of Terror. It's like a walk-on all the time.
That's
13
true.
minutes.
13 minutes.
To be fair, I'm totally glad it's a walk-on because I ride that like 20 times every time I'm in Hollywood Studios. But
that's right.
Anyway from then
Speaking
on...
Speaking of Streets of America...
Yeah, from the Streets
tonight
of America,
there was
shall we head down to the Hollywood... what's going on tonight on September 13th, 2013? Because I've been out enjoying my night, but can you guys explain what's going on tonight?
A total cluster.
A cluster F.
Fuggle,
yeah.
I believe is a technical term.
It's it doesn't sound like it went too well tonight. The
How so?
Villains. What was it called?
I don't even know.
I don't know. The Villains something or other.
Mix and mingle
Villains
or
come
whatever.
out the closet or something like that. I don't know.
now.
Mix and mingle's the thing that not so scary.
Yeah.
Okay. Whatever. I don't
Some
know.
Friday the 13th Villains thing. Disney. Apparently, it shut down the entire area around Hollywood Studios. Literally shut it down. Not just like, oh, our parking's full. Like, oh, we have too many cars coming this way. Oh, you think Walt Disney World needs an infrastructure update? Not just RFID infrastructure. Anyway, that's another topic for another time. But people weren't able to get into the area. Not just the parking was still open at this time. People just couldn't get in because they don't have the capacity to carry the cars around the resort.
And DHS has 2 silly toll plazas.
2 stupid entrances that have like 2 lanes each.
Yeah.
I think that they finally cut the parking off at like 8:30 or 8:45, 9, somewhere around there. But that was the hour and a half before then. People were complaining that they were stuck in traffic, not moving and not going anywhere, and it was a mess. And then the event actually started, kind of. From the sounds of it, the first show went off 15 to 20 minutes late, I think I saw. Then they had people waiting from 2 p.m. for meet and greets. First of all, really, people, you're waiting 2 p.m. You're waiting 8 hours for a meet and greet. 8 hours to meet a guy in a costume. You know, and now Disney fans are going to yell at me saying I said it was a guy in a costume. Bite me. It's a guy in a costume.
No, it could be a lady in a costume.
Okay, it's a person in a costume.
It's
My
a human
apologies.
being in a costume.
I don't want to be. I do not want to be sexist. I don't want to be that. I can be trolling, but I don't want to be sexist. You're waiting 8 hours for a person in a costume. Time to reassess. And then people are thinking the first person out is going to be some special character that you've never seen, you're never going to be able to meet. And out walks Jafar after you waited 8 hours in line for a meet and greet. And Jafar is your first person to take a picture with. That happened, it brought a smile to my heart. I can't lie. I loved it. You waited. That's what you get for waiting 8 hours in line for a meet and greet. You get Jafar. Not Oogie Boogie, not like, I don't know, Horned King from Black Cauldron, who I don't think was there, but I'm just bringing up obscure villains.
I know Oogie Boogie
Jack
was.
and Sally.
Jack and Sally.
First of all, Jack and Sally had 2-hour lines for light bulb head. He looks like he has a light bulb on his head. It looks awful. Come at me, Disney fanboys. He looks terrible.
He does look pretty bad.
If you're waiting longer than a half hour for a meet and greet, time to reassess.
If you're waiting 15 minutes.
And you're over the age of 10.
Right, yeah. If you're not a girl waiting you're not a 4 to 12-year-old girl waiting for a meet and greet with a princess, time to reassess. So then not only that, but then the meet and greets had autograph cards, because obviously there's so many people that they don't want to give out autographs or take the time to actually autograph cards. And then some of the characters probably don't have autographs trained for them. They had autograph cards like they did for the rest of the limited time Magic, like Long Lost Friends and stuff like that. But they had a very, very, very small amount, according to Twitter. So limited time Magic. It baffles the mind. But I'll just go on to the other point before making the overall point. They ran out of burgers at Rosie the Riveter's on Sunset Grill about 2 hours before the restaurant was supposed to close. They ran out of burgers at a restaurant.
At Disney.
At Disney. How? How?
Think
How
about
does this
that.
happen?
You know how it happens? They don't actually offer anything to anyone.
Especially with
over the year.
Especially with they had May the 4th here in May. They knew it was going to be a huge night for this. With obscure characters and fireworks at Hollywood Studios, they knew it was going to be a huge event. And
it's not like they weren't like when they announced limited time Magic, they said blah 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 blah, and the villains,
right.
event
They
in September.
announced this at the beginning of the year.
They literally, this is one of the first things they said. This is the one thing they planned like 10 months ago.
Right.
And they
this
said,
would be like
who's going to show up to this? Come on.
Right. This would be like Universal running out of burgers on a Halloween Horror Nights night. Like,
Or running out of Jell-O shots on a Halloween Horrors night.
Well, yeah. Running out of blood bags on a Halloween Horror Nights night.
Exactly.
Like, how are you not prepared? How do you not have enough have enough signature cards printed out for people? That's the real, like, I mean, the burger thing is ridiculous, but having the item for the event run out, not even run out, but not having nearly enough for the people. How is that possible?
It's like they didn't pay attention.
It's a piece of paper with
happened.
printing on it.
I mean, just look at what happened before and go, oh wow, a lot of people showed up. We should probably do this more.
May the 4th was huge. So many people showed up for that. You got to add more to that for the amount of people showing up for obscure character meet and greets. Because meet and greets are big. I know I make fun of people who wait in line for meet and greets, but I know for a big part of the fan base, they're big. You have to be ready for that.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be ready for it. I don't get it. And like I tweeted out earlier, I said I always wondered why Disney never tried to do like a PG-13 haunt, like a lower level haunt than Halloween Horror Nights and Howl-O-Scream, kind of catering to the tween age in Hollywood studios. And I know Jim Hill has talked about things like, oh well, the only place they could have it is Streets of America, and they have Osborne installation going on during that. And I think there's easy ways to get around that, so I ignore that. But now I see they're not ready for the crowd something like that would bring.
I don't think they understand.
I
don't think they understand.
Maybe not, but even then, if they're not ready for a one-night thing, how can they be ready for something that's going to bring A, the fans in, or B, the tourists in, no matter what? It's just, it baffles me, because they're so good. I make fun of Disney a lot, but they're so good at crowd control, and they're so good at they're the best at knowing how to do this.
Yeah.
Universal, I love Universal. I think their parks are great, and I think their parks are getting better, but I think their ops, I don't think their TMs are scum like some Disney fans do, but I think their ops definitely has not caught up to the popularity that their parks have gotten over the past 2 years, and I think it's gonna be a year or two before they get there. But Disney is the king in customer service, as much as I do make fun of them, and as much as they're having problems right now, they're the king. And for them not to be ready for a night like this, I don't get it. It baffles me.
Yeah. I mean, it makes total sense. I mean,
well, look, they don't have enough of those sorcerer cards for the Not So Scary. People are paying for that.
Yeah, well, but that's slightly different because it actually revolves around people caring about that thing.
Yeah, and sorcerer. Well, the problem, I mean, this is a problem with the Disney fan base in general. There's so many eBay people out there that they go and they get all this stuff, even if they have no desire to have it, they want to sell it. And I mean, it's not only Disney. I shouldn't say it's just Disney. It's all of them. Yeah. It's all fan bases have these things that saying, oh well, I don't want it, but I'm gonna sell it to someone who does want it for a insane markup. Mm-hmm. So I'm looking at I have Twitter up while I'm doing this, and I see the candy corn soft serve. I don't know if that was a thing for the DHS thing,
I pull it up now.
The Hollywood Studios thing, or if it was a not so scary thing. The candy corn soft serve is just vanilla. I waited 3.5 hours for Oogie Boogie. Jesus Christ. Just 3.5 hours. I went to Islands of Adventure a month after Forbidden Journey opened, and I only waited 2 hours for the quote unquote, in my opinion, best ride on the planet. And you waited 3.5 hours to get a picture with someone in a suit. Oh my god. Like I love and hate the Disney fandom, but oh my god, people. It's a person in a suit. 3.5 hours. Oh, you could have watched a Lord of the Rings extended edition in that time.
Or
Not
anything.
even.
Or anything else.
You could have done anything.
Things. You could have changed the world. You could have helped someone.
We are here to change the world.
Thanks, guys, for listening. We had a blast making this, and we're going to make a bunch more soon. If you want to follow us on Twitter, please follow us at Parkscope, and you can read our articles online at www.parkscope.net. We'll have a few new articles up this week, along with possibly working on a video feature. We look forward to giving you more soon, and thanks.